Okay, my loves. So this is a really, really awesome episode. If you have ever come up to a boundary and then walked yourself back and said, not for me, I'm going to share with you a very cool new tool that I'm testing out right now. And we're going to have a really lovely conversation about what it means to move through these boundaries and to actually step into the space of growth. I got you, babe. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast, where we explore the mindset shifts, energetic upgrades, and practical strategies that support you in becoming the woman who creates what she desires with confidence and clarity. I'm Amy Diamond, and I help high-performing women like you move beyond shame, guilt, and struggle so that you can step into deeper wealth, confidence, and a life that feels delicious inside and out. If you've ever sensed you are meant for more and you're ready to create it, this is your place. It's time to move beyond the vision board, babe, and become the catalyst for true transformation. You're about to step into something really powerful. I'm so glad you're here. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be an episode that's going to hit both in the same week because there's something big coming through, and today is a fully unscripted episode. Those of you who are with me on the Manifesting Millions podcast, you'll know that this is very par for the course. I often don't have anything scripted or prepped. But those of you who are catching me on the Wealth Pivot or on the YouTube channel, generally, you will remember that we tend to be a bit more structured in our content. And that's because I want to make sure that I have things a little bit tighter. But there is something that needs to come through. There's something that we need to talk about today. So, and I'm as excited. Well, maybe you're not excited at all, but I'm excited to see what it is that is coming through for us. And I'm a little bit nervous. Can you feel my vibe? Can you feel my energy? There's like a little bit of like nervousness coming through. So let me prep with a tiny bit of like what got us into this moment right now. So I was supposed to be doing an interview today with Marissa Liesenfeld. I believe that's how I say her last name. And I was very excited for the interview. We needed to postpone it. It's still going to happen. And so you'll, on the Manifesting Millions podcast, you'll get that episode in the next few weeks. I'm not sure when we get the reschedule put on the calendar. But Marissa does some work with something called magnetic power codes. And I was trying it out. I wanted to see what it was about so that when we sit down for our interview, I can ask really great questions and we can have a wonderful conversation to benefit you, right? So that you understand, oh, this is how Marissa's work impacts me. This is how it could help me. Here's the things. Now, what's super fun about doing this, I did the same thing when I interviewed Christine Blasdale. I did something similar. I'm trying to think who else I interviewed with. I can't remember. Anyway, Christine is on top of my mind because I did her recently. But when someone has a freebie, I try my best to test it out before we do the interview. When I do that, that of course gives me some interesting insight about myself and about my business or about my approach to relationships, all those different things, right? And it yields for a really beautiful podcast interview when I bring the guests on. So Marissa's work is about these magnetic power codes. Now, as I haven't actually sat down to interview her as of yet, I can't give you the full down and dirty about it. But my understanding is that it pulls from elements of human design. It pulls from elements of astrology. There's a AI that is like integrated in with it. It's blowing my mind if I'm being very, very honest. So definitely grab when that interview comes out. Make sure that you don't miss the interview. If you are listening on the Manifesting Millions podcast, make sure that you are like I think it's, you have to follow. Is that what you have to do on the podcast? I can't remember. All the platforms have a different word, but basically follow, subscribe, do whatever it is on whichever platform you're catching me, so that you will get the notification when the podcast episode comes out. I anticipate it's going to be in the next few weeks, but again, until that interview is rescheduled, I can't give you a date. So, this magnetic power codes is blowing my mind. One of the things that has really been coming through for me. So if you've been with me and in my world for, even like 2 or 3 episodes, if you've been in my world at all for a little while, you know that I talk a lot about money. And I talk about money in a very real way, a very candid way. We talk a lot about how we are navigating our own internal states, especially when we are going through states of financial flux. And I've looked very much forward to bringing you wisdom and knowledge and insight once I reach like really beautiful financial abundance, because that will have its own set of lessons and expansions to move through. But currently we are focusing on this. I've digressed. I've gone off on a wrong tangent. Let me come back. Okay. So, inside the magnetic power codes, my human design is it's a 3-5. I can't remember what that is exactly, but my type is it's called the Great Experimenter or the Life Experimenter. It's something like that. See, this is why I usually have notes, so that I can be a bit more succinct and clear with you. Regardless, I've wondered for a long time, because I've certainly heard leaders like Catherine Zinkina, Ali Nympho. I think that James Wedmore's talked about it. I've heard a few different people talk about how understanding human design made them much better business owners and entrepreneurs. But I've looked at my human design and gone, I don't understand. Hey, so real quick question for you. Are you on the Insights email list already? And if you are not, what are you waiting for? Folks on my Insights email list get the best of the best from me. They get super secret deals, they get insights and freebies and all kinds of cool stuff delivered straight to their inbox. So if you are not yet on the list, get yourself on there right now. Click the link in the show notes and let's get you signed up so I can help you continue to keep expanding. Because babe, OMG, the world wants more of you. So let's get you going. How am I supposed to pull this in? This seems, and especially because how I'm designed to move through the world and share information is not how most business advice says that we need to like put our things out in the world. So I've felt in this like conflict of these two things, that if who I am here to be is this great life experimenter, literally my whole like purpose on the planet is to test things out, try them out, play in all kinds of different pools, and then share the wisdom and the experience that I have there with the rest of the collective, with the rest of the world. This is my job. Go like experiment and see how things work and then tell us about it, right? The problem is, because I'm constantly doing that, I never feel really like an expert, because I'm constantly testing, I'm constantly experimenting. I'm following what intrigues me, where my curiosity goes. And listen, if you can relate, hit the hearts, hit something that says, oh my God, Amy, I feel this so deeply, because I want to bring the insight to you. And yet, when all of the business advice says that you need to position yourself as the authority, as the expert, I'm kind of going, but there's still so much more to learn. And there are people who are way more experts or authority on certain streams of things, right? Like I would never sit down and tell you how to like fully put together your investment portfolio. But I will sit down and say to you, girl, let's get you on like an investment platform. Let's get you started, because you need to build your wealth. And in fact, we have a whole module about that inside Wealthy as Fuck. because it's really important to have your dollars going out, making more friends and bringing them back to expand your wealth, right? So I will talk about that all day long. I will talk all day long about how you can manage your money in your day to day, but much more importantly, how you manage your internal state as it relates to your money. Because that is actually one of the most critical factors that nobody talks about. It drives me crazy, which is why I'm out here telling you all about it. But I would not tell you, like, I can't go deep into the details and say, okay, let's work out a budget and let's work out all of these. That's not my vibe. So how do I be in this space of being this great life experimenter where my purpose is to try things out, test them out, build the wisdom, and then bring that knowledge and experience into the world so that I can share it with you, when I feel like this doesn't necessarily make me an expert in something, but I have real value to share with you. And I know, here's the part that I think is amazing. And this is where I'm like, how do I get this into people's hands? Because so much of what is taught as it relates, especially to money and manifestation and dealing with like your internal states, is not necessarily tested and tried in the trenches. My love, so often we talk about wanting to manifest more money, wanting to create more income in our lives. And something that has been flowing through for me lately is that we've been focusing on the wrong element. It is not that we want to just manifest more money in our lives, but that we actually need to disconnect ourselves from the identity of a person who is under earning. This is something that is becoming very, very clear to me, and I'm seeing some really strong patterns in my own life and in the lives of people around us. And it's so integral to us building the life of our dreams that I've decided to run a free workshop on how to break the cycle of under earning and begin to move into the identity of a person who welcomes in the income that actually allows us to achieve the financial goals that we have and to feel good about it. If this sounds at all interesting to you, then I want you to join me. It's going to be completely free. It's going to be happening in July, and jump in with me for this free workshop because, listen, babe, we need to put more dollars into your bank account so that you can really move and circulate money and abundance in the world in a way that feels wonderful and juicy to you. And step one to doing that is disconnecting from someone who is under earning. So join me in the workshop. The URL is in the show notes. I am so excited to help you break that cycle. Everything that I share, so the Wealthy as Fuck program, the Breakup with Broke program, the Unapologetic Abundance freebie, all of the freebies that I've put together, like everything that I share, it's all tried and tested in the fire. So I share these things, like in Wealthy as Fuck, for example, I think I give you like 7 different tools for navigating through like big emotions, for grounding yourself, for shifting your energy. And every single one of those tools I use and I have used when things have been like really kind of crazy, right? When my stress is skyrocketing or my emotions are just like whatever, or I'm feeling super flat. Like I've tested them all. And so I know they work. I know they can bring about a certain degree of change. And that's why I teach them to you, because I know it's not just theory. I'm not just saying, well, research shows that like blah, 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 it's helpful. I actually have done the work. I've done the field work. So I'm telling you, it works. So like, try it out. Okay, I digress. We're going to have a lot of that today, I feel like. It's going to be a great conversation. So here we go. Also, as an aside, for those of you on the video with me, are you enjoying my like big hair today? I was feeling big hair vibes. So like I left the curls in and I like popped in a pony and like put some volume in it with my fingers because that's just how I roll. Anyway, let me know if you're like digging the little bit of like zhuzh. So, all right. let's come back, Amy. Let's focus on what we're talking about today. So, I open up the magnetic power codes. I promise all of this is all going to weave together, but it's going to be a little bit of a winding path through the valley as we get to where we're going today. So I open up the magnetic power codes today. Again, thinking that I'm prepping for the interview. Interview gets canceled, so that's fine. We'll reschedule it. But I'm reading through and this is a very cool feature, that it has like sort of, I guess, current astrological placement insights. So I believe that it's like right now the moon is in Cancer. I think that's correct. And so then this is where the AI portion of this magnetic power codes comes together very cool. The AI says, okay, so here's what's happening in astrology right now, in the movement of the planets and everything. And here's how that interacts with who you are. And because part of the setup is also talking about here's what I do for work, it puts in there and says, hey, so like now this is why this is super, super juicy for you. So I wish I could read it. It's like I can see the screen like behind the phone, but I can't read it because it's like 4 feet away. But so the moon in Cancer is all about like being real, sharing from the heart, being vulnerable. And so it said, if there's a money story that you've been afraid to talk about, afraid to share, now's the time. And I was like, everything in me was like, literally when I sit down to hit record, I get myself prepped, I know what I'm going to talk about, and I hit record and we go. But when I know that there's something important, but that's something also that like feels vulnerable to me, then I find myself, suddenly I can't tweak the camera enough. I've fixed my hair a bunch of times. I gotta like nest in my chair a whole bunch, right? Like just these, it's all a way of trying to shift this nervous energy and also procrastinate a little. Maybe a notification will come through and I'll have to go deal with that instead. So this is what happens when we are standing at the boundary of what is comfortable for us. A lot of people, not you and I, but a lot of people will meet that boundary and then retract. They'll pull away because this boundary is uncomfortable. There's discomfort here. There's a reason that there's this boundary, right? Inside, on this side of it, everything feels safe. It feels normal. It feels known. Your nervous system, your subconscious mind knows that everything inside of here is fully survivable. Outside of here is the unknown. We don't know how people are going to react. We don't know what someone might say to us, what they might put in the comments, how we might feel about ourselves. We don't know the repercussions of something. We don't know if our subconscious mind doesn't know if like the things that are happening outside of here are survivable. We don't have proof. So what it does, it's doing a beautiful job, and your nervous system, by creating that anxious feeling in your body, is doing the same thing. It wants you to be safe and to survive. So when you're at this boundary and you feel these like, you're like right here, right? You're like snuggled right back against it. You're just standing on the other side of the fence like, is it gonna be okay? Your nervous system and your subconscious mind will just like quietly pull you back. And then they'll put you here. And you're like peeking over the fence and you're like, And then you make the decision, do I step forward past the boundary and see what happens, or do I step back and stay where I'm safe? And the majority of people stay where it's safe. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it is not going to bring you what you want. Unless the only thing you're worried about is safety, in which case then I guess it will bring you what you want. But generally, we mistake this experience of safety with something that is actually good. Okay? That's a whole other topic. We're not going to crack into that today because, man, we will be here for hours. But all I want you to understand is that when we mistake this space of comfort, this space of safety, this space of like somewhat regulation, it doesn't allow us to grow. And I don't love the saying, but there's that saying that's like, everything you want is on the other side of fear. there's some truth to that, because what we desire is generally outside of ourselves. It's somewhere down the timeline in the future. It's something that we want to call in. It's something that we maybe want to expand. So perhaps we're making income now, but we want expanded income. And there's this dilation of time between where we are and what we desire to experience and have in our life, right? So in this space, in order to get to where we want to be, we need to move through that boundary, to move through that piece that feels uncomfortable, so that we can experience this thing that we want. So, coming back to where we are. And it's summertime here, which means I'm in and outside of the house all the time. And whenever I sit down to record, my nose gets a little drippy. So, apologies. Also, fun fact, you can't see it, but like the trees are going crazy. There's like a big storm rolling through. It's kind of the vibe. And also, I'm really hoping that the temperature is going to drop because it's a little warm in the house. Okay, so today's Magnetic Power Codes was telling me about how this particular transit and lineup is really juicy for sharing something that's like scary. So we've had 17 minutes of preamble. Let's get into it. I have talked before about the email from my credit card provider. I've talked about, moving through financial struggle. What I want to talk about today is a personal experience, but I'm going to relate it into what's happening in the world. So I have a friend who is staying with me for the next few weeks. We've been friends forever, but she lives in Mexico, so she's not here all the time. We were out this morning getting groceries, and we were talking a little bit about, sorry, it just got really windy all of a sudden. We were talking this morning as we were moving around about her kids and, their work prospects and how things are looking. And our conversation moved through some of what's happening in the world. So I'm going to give you a little breathe deep as I go through this next little bit, because this is not generally what my content is about, but this is going to frame up where we're going. When I look into the world right now, so currently it's June of 2026. When I look into the world, there is a lot of unrest. I'm not talking political. Certainly there's lots of that happening. But my inbox is filled with, again, I don't know why LinkedIn keeps sending me these boring things, but filled with notifications of, tech companies laying off massive amounts of people. We see lots of, my friend was telling me about the job fair. She was like, Amy, it was a joke. There were people who couldn't even get in the door. The lineups were just so long. There are employers that were there that weren't even actually looking to hire. And I've heard that as well. Lots of job postings are for roles that don't actually exist. And companies are, I guess, for some reason, just kind of interested in talent. I'm sure there's some corporate reason behind it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're not going to go down there. I look at what's happening in terms of the discrepancy in earnings. So I worked for a tech company, and this particular company that I worked with, I won't name, and I never have, and that's fine. But they went through a massive contraction. They laid off about half of their workforce. They still are doing layoffs to this day. But there was a person who was hired into this company that none of us knew this is why they were hired in. But as it turns out, I guess, part of their agreement was to reduce the workforce by a significant factor. This person got paid a $70 million bonus for hitting their layoff structure. Now, if you're in big corporate and you're like, well, Amy, there's a reason, and the shareholders and the blah, 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 blah. Yes, fine. I understand that there's strategy behind it. But my personal belief is that there is a massive, massive gap building and expanding very quickly between what the highest level executives especially in large companies are earning and the pay that is being given to the frontline folks who are doing the majority of the work. And AI is doubling down on that. AI is creating, in some ways, some really amazing tools. I use AI all the time to help streamline some of the parts that were a bigger lift for me. So it's make me a more efficient entrepreneur and helped me get content into your hands more quickly. So that's really amazing. But it's also been creating massive job cuts as companies are kind of looking at the shiny new toy and saying, oh, we don't need this team because AI can do the whole thing, right? So I'm looking at everything that's happening in the world. And this is what I was saying to my friend. Every single person that I know that has a job is super burned out. I don't know anybody who has a job, and it does not matter what job they have or what level they are at, including what income level they're at, who is feeling like a balanced place in their job. That is a problem. That's a huge problem. If you've been around, if you're a millennial, you've seen this chart, I'm sure, but there's the productivity chart versus wage. And if you look at the wages have, in terms of if you account it for inflation and everything, I believe that wages have decreased, which is ridiculous. But productivity continues to skyrocket and the expectation continues to skyrocket. I have this conversation with my husband often because his job is sales. And so his company sets sales targets for him every year. But the sales target is always bigger every year. And there's nothing wrong with pursuing growth, right? We want growth. Of course, that's juicy. But I'm going to point out that even the earth is not in a constant state of growth. So the world is in this really upside down place right now. And I suspect there's a reckoning coming. And because humans tend to be very slow and hesitant to change, we tend to not really upset structures until it gets really bad. So breathe deep, stay with me. I promise this is not a dooms and glooms episode, even though the weather outside really, well, that was a nice, check out that little muscle right there. All right, sorry. It's the Amy show, so you get to see some of these things. So here is what I think is amazing. And this is where I think this is so funny. I was about to say this sentence and then everything in me said, you can't say that, Amy. It's going to sound like you're just hyping yourself up and you're like, I'm the solution to all your problems. So, boundary discovered. Let's step past it, you and I together, okay? If I am the person who's brought to this world to be the great life experimenter, and I have gone through some extreme financial scarcity, I've been through extreme burnout in a job, I've had lots of experience of really not awesome things, I've made it through all of them. And I would like to say, I feel reasonably balanced, I feel relatively calm. People around me like being in my vibe because I seem happy all the time. And they're like, Amy's so positive. See, she's so joyful. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I fought hard for it. And I saw something about Taylor Swift the other day. It was from I think it was a psychologist or a psychiatrist or something. And it was this neat series of images that was kind of highlighting different parts of Taylor. And the thing that really stood out to me was this slide that said something like, she is fully in her joy, but joy is vulnerable. Taylor has fought hard for her joy. And if you don't have to like her or not like her, it doesn't matter how you feel about Taylor, but it's undeniable to say that she has gone through some massive public opinions and things blowing back in her face and has really had to navigate them, and in a very public way, right? Every relationship that she has had becomes this whole public affair, and they have opinions about it, and there's stories that get told about her and all kinds of things. And yet she has come through it. And I would argue that when you see her, I don't know her personally, maybe one day Tay and I will be besties, but watching her, just observing how she moves, she has found her way to stay more balanced, to allow the things that really don't matter to just move off of her, to process the things that are impacting her in her own way, and to claim her joy and to just live in that. without needing to explain it to someone or apologize for it or whatever, that she gets to feel joyful. This is actually the heart of a lot of what I think we are here on earth to experience. That we move through these things and we live our lives in this public way that moves us into how do we claim the joy for ourselves. Now, if you're really like, Amy, tell me the secrets. I want to know. I do have a masterclass called Manifesting a Million Moments of Joy. You can pick it up. I'll put the link in the show notes for you as well. And so you'll get lifetime access to that masterclass. And I will walk you through how I have created joy, how you can create joy, and how to build lasting joy. Because the problem is, so much of when people talk about like, just think happy thoughts, just be in your joy. It's like, that sounds amazing until somebody comes in and like poops on your parade and you're like, the fuck? Why would you do that? That just seems rude. And it is. And we want to learn how to cultivate our joy, how to stand in it with some confidence, how to feel, I almost said joyful, but it is. It's like, how do we feel in that place? So the masterclass will help you do that. So Manifesting a Million Moments of Joy, it's like your joy central thing. It should be like here on the screen. Yay. Okay. So let me come back. So today's share, like I said, I promised you we will be all over the map today. You're very welcome. So today's magnetic power code was talking about sharing from a place of vulnerability. So let's talk about this. Everything that I mentioned that's happening in the world right now. As I was driving around my friend and we were talking about this, she goes, how are people navigating it? Like if wages are so underpaid and people are like, and like cost of living is so high and how are people dealing with it? And I said, well, I suspect that the vast majority of people are very financially leveraged. I suspect that that is true. I know that one of the very popular statistics that always gets, touted is the, I forget what it is, like 80% of Americans, if they needed to come up with $400 for an emergency bill, they couldn't, right? Like that's sort of the very common one that gets talked about. But let's just talk about day-to-day life, because hopefully, like, we're not dealing with a lot of emergency bills. Hopefully, if you're in my Wealthy as Fuck program, you know that we talk about how to build some, like, and it's through tiny actions, okay? Nothing that I teach you is about giant investments and giant actions and massive scarcity and sacrifice, because that shit does not work long term. I can promise you that. I've tried it. Great life experimenter, right? That doesn't work. I am all about what is actually going to transform your life. What is actually going to create lasting shift? That's the heart of all of the work that I do. All of the programs that I've put together is about that core belief that I don't just want you to just like one time move through something. I want you to be on this journey of expansion and to allow yourself to keep meeting yourself and keep growing past those boundaries so that your wealth builds, your health grows, your joy continues to expand. This is the nature of everything that I'm about. I'm feeling very passionate about myself right now. Okay. So I was saying to my friend, I suspect much of the world is very, very financially leveraged. So here's the part that I'm really fucking terrified to talk about. So as I was lying in bed last night, attempting to fall asleep. So I read a little bit before I go to sleep every night. And then when I can't, like, I just can't concentrate or I'm like too tired, I turn the light out so I can go to sleep. And I thought I was tired and I go to turn the light out and my brain is like going through all the things. And what about this? 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 Now, this was something that was very interesting last night. So I understand the power of obviously affirmations. I talk about that inside Wealthy as Fuck. But I also understand how do I say this? The core alignment that is what really sets affirmations into motion. I like to be like really as much as possible, especially when I'm like in the space of lots of conscious thinking happening, that I be intentional with the things that I am putting my focus on, even as I'm going to sleep, which is a very weird road to walk because you're actually trying to shut everything down, but you're in the space of like, there's all this stuff happening. So I'm going to consciously think through some things. So I just created this space. I talk about this in all my programs, create a little bit of space to say, okay, what are the worries? Well, the worries are that basically after, because I'm in the middle of a big project right now, but after July, I don't know where my income is coming from. The jobs that I've applied for haven't panned out so far. The business isn't generating income like I want it to. One of the things that I find, I'm very curious, and I want to ask Marissa about this when we sit down for our interview, is so much of the energetic language from business experts that's being talked about is that if you're in a place of scarcity and you're trying to draw in clients, they will feel that and not come to you. And I'm like, but like, yo, man, how do I move? How do I not have what you're telling me is apparently a very repellent energy? How do I not have that come out when there is still the very real element in the 3D frame that says, yo, we don't know where our dollars are coming from soon, right? And it's like, fuck, I need to figure something out because how am I going to deal with that? And again, I promise I will teach all of this. There's a new module that's like starting to percolate through for Wealthy as Fuck. So definitely get on the wait list to join our next enrollment round because there's something that's coming through. And I suspect it's going to be talking about this. Let me pick up my thread from where I was before. Right. Okay. So in this place of feeling this like real financial scarcity, I'm in bed. I'm thinking about my bills. I'm thinking about what I want to see for the business. I'm thinking about, I'm moving through a health goal right now. So if you've been in my world for a while, you know that back in 2022-23, I went through a weight release journey, released 52 pounds. It was before that. It was like 2021, I think, which was amazing. And I kept it off, which is even more amazing. And then over the last year or year and a half, it's been slowly creeping back on. So I'm now going through my next weight release journey. We're releasing 20 pounds. Thank you. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, but that's going to be a whole other video because we'll be here forever. Okay. So I got distracted. It said 33 on the recording. So hi, angels. Thank you for being here with us today. So I have this, right, here's where I was. So I have this health goal and I have a tool that I use that I knew today the payment was going to be going out. And then there's this tool that I want to use for my business. And I'm trying to think, how do I pay for all of this? And I am not someone who's adverse to risk, but I am someone who's like, hello, I want to make sure that I'm not completely screwing myself over in 6 to 8 weeks. So these are the things that are going through my brain, all right, as I'm trying to fall asleep. So I start changing what I'm thinking, changing what I'm focusing on. And so I said this affirmation, which I can't remember exactly, but it was something to the effect of, I am always supported, all my needs are consistently met. Now here's what's fascinating. Even saying that now, I feel this like spike of nerves, and I feel it like on the inside, but like down my trunk. Okay. Like I can feel it in here. I can feel this spike of nerves. So I felt that yesterday and I was like, isn't that interesting? So I kind of asked myself, what about this feels nervous? And here's the part that came through. And this is what we're going to like finish today on. What came through is that where I learned and began practicing this element of all my needs are always met and I'm always supported was from always in my experience from these states of being like white knuckling through something. So when I say that, what it actually does is it activates those old, I didn't even know they were there, but these old threads of emotions of being in these places and spaces in my life of just like having no friggin' idea how I'm going to pay bills, what I'm going to do going forward. Like it was bringing through snippets from 2012 when my life fell apart, from when I got laid off from jobs before, from like all these different things. And I was like, oh. Now, some teachers will say, okay, so obviously what it's doing is it's showing you something to be cleared and to be healed. Sure. And also, we could be like dogs chasing our tail if that's our focus. And I certainly have been there as well. Again, great life experimenter. Where I've been so focused on going, oh, okay, so here's something that is asking to be healed. But what I am learning, what I'm discovering as I experiment, is that not everything that comes forward is coming forward with the intent of like, hey, you need to heal this. Some things are coming forward saying, this might not be the most useful or most serving thing to think about. Very different focus all of a sudden, right? It's not, oh, I need to heal this. And then I go off on this tangent trying to like heal all the traumas of the past and like reconcile and have chats with my inner child and like all the things. It's in this case, what was so clear to me, and this has happened a few times in the last few months where I've noticed this, it's just come through and said, so this affirmation, this thought is actually not in alignment with what you're wanting to experience. That's what it's telling me. So then it gives me the opportunity to say, okay, so what is it actually that I want to feel? Like, what is it that I'm wanting to experience? It's when I think about it, and I always try to correlate it to something in my life. So my husband is a perfect example for this. I don't, even when I'm in the middle of a fight, and when there's like, when things are really bad and I'm thinking about like packing my bags and going to my friend's house or something, there isn't that I'm talking my through of like, I'm trying to think of like a best way to give you a correlation. Like, he just loves me and our relationship is always going to be perfect or something. Those things don't even cross my mind. They just don't. They aren't affirmations that are helpful for me. They aren't thoughts that are helpful for me. There is no doubt in me that he loves me and supports me. And also, sometimes I want to punch him in the face, right? And I'm sure there are times that he feels the same, that he's like, if I could just drop my wife off of a very tall building right now, that would be okay with me. Welcome to relationships, everybody. So, but the thing that I want you to notice is there isn't a struggle to know that he loves me. Even as I'm upset, even as things feel like they're falling completely apart. That's just a known. So when I'm in this space of how am I navigating through this like financial scarcity or this financial like constriction and not knowing where the F my dollars are coming from in 6 to 8 weeks, saying to myself, well, I'm always completely supported is not helpful. It actually doesn't do what I was thinking it would do, which was intending to like calm me, to focus on like helping to ground my nervous system, to chill out my thoughts. What it does is it actually sends them all in panic. Like, what do you mean? Did we need to think that this wasn't going to happen? Right? To give you so this made me laugh so much. I love learning through other people. So I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and they were telling me about this person that they had met that was a potential romantic interest. And they said, Amy, like, they're such a nice person. They don't do drugs. They don't drink. They don't, they don't stay out late at night. They don't, I forget like all the things. But it was like these, like, I'm laughing. And I said to them, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't be laughing. But our bars of like our minimums are very different. Never in my life have I ever said to somebody when describing a person that I'm interested in, oh, he's amazing. He doesn't drink. He doesn't do drugs. He doesn't stay out late at night. Like, I'm just like, those things, they don't even rate on my scale. Right? So like, I'm trying to like not get too much into the weeds with this one, but For example, for me, the things that would rate on my scale are, is he kind? Is he smart? Is he fun to talk to? Does he have some kind of drive in his career? He doesn't need to be like, boss man, CEO or whatever, but like, is he engaged in his work? And is his work something that would be financially supportive for him and me if, things went crazy or whatever? But like mostly, is he warm, kind, loving, and supportive? And do I think he's sexy? Obviously, like, duh. But like, the idea that I would need to say, oh, he doesn't do drugs is so beyond me. It doesn't rate on my scale. So when I'm looking at my financial resources, what my body and nervous system is telling me, attempting to communicate to me in the way that it can, is saying, hey, why are we focusing on, our needs just being met? That should be table stakes. That should be fully expected. That should just be normal. We don't need to like focus on that and call that in. Because the truth is, the desire isn't just like, okay, the needs are taken care of. That's the expectation. The desire is expansion. The desire is overflow. The desire is a business that serves and supports so many amazing people just like you through my work, through my coaching, through my programs, through even like through free content like this that you're getting your hands on at no cost to you, right? The desire is for this to have such powerful impact in the world that my financial world overflows as a result. That's the desire. This like needs are already being met. That's fucking table stakes, man. That's like when I wake up in the morning, I expect the sun to be shining. Duh. The sun is, of course it's shining. It's shining somewhere all the time. And if the sun stops shining, I'm either dead or it blew up and then I don't have to worry about my bills anyway. So like, right? These are the things that I think we are missing. So I think that's all I've got to share with you today. If this episode resonated with you at all, hit like, hit subscribe, hit follow, do the things. If you're on the podcasts, please leave a review. That would really help boost the podcast to get popped into other people's feeds. If you thought this was helpful, please share this content out because that would certainly help me reach more people. Remember, impact, income, making the world a better place. And I'd love to hear from you. So if you aren't yet on my Insights email list, I would love to invite you to join me on the Insights email list. And sorry, I digress. Let me come back. And my brain was briefly thinking like, I'm not going to edit this at all. I'm just going to put it out with like the thing. So that's where my brain went for a minute. So folks on my Insights email list, you get notifications from me when a new podcast episode drops, when a new YouTube video drops. But I also like share with you some really neat things that I don't generally share anywhere else. And I give you some extra little things to chew on, and my email list always gets first crack to anything new that's coming, but also often is the only recipients of some like very cool offers. So for example, in the beginning of June, so like a couple of weeks ago now, I was part of this very cool thing called the Stack, where people on my, again, only on the Insights email list, received a special link that they could go to access about $8,000 worth of offers that were free. There was 14 different entrepreneurs that had like everything from how to become visible in your business. I did Break Up with Broke as a freebie for that tiny little period of time. Like lots of different things that were in that offer. But the only people who got to access it were the people who were on my email list. So if you are not yet on the Insights email list, like, what you waiting for? Get on there. The link is in the show notes. It's amyvanmeel.com/insights. And let's get you started from there. My loves, it's been a pleasure to chat with you today. Thank you for allowing me the space to just be vulnerable, to speak candidly with you. And if you have stayed until now, my heart is like beating for you. I'm super, super grateful for you. Thank you so much. And I will see you next week. Mwah! Bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode, my love. If you loved what you heard today, I'd be so grateful if you left a review and shared it with someone ready for more. For additional love and inspiration, find me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at XOAmyDiamond, or visit the links in the show notes. I'm already excited to connect in the next episode, and I'm cooking up something really juicy for you. Until then, I'm sending you all my love, and I'm reminding you, you're already awesome. It's time to let your brilliance shine.